Somebody left a mean comment on my secret scent box video. Yeah, I thought about it when I got in bed last night, and you know what happened? I fell asleep like a log. Word to your mother, my name's Steve, this channel is Frags to Riches. Thank you for tuning in, it's always appreciated. I mean, how fake did that sound? Anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing a fragrance that I received in my secret scent box, which I opened in my last video, and it's Givenchy's Gentleman Boisee. Now, before I kind of get into that, I just want to remind you that I've got a discount code for those guys. It's FTR60 and you'll get 60% off your first box. Now, what you may want to consider doing is cancelling the subscription after that, because as some people highlighted in the comment section of the last video, that it doesn't necessarily offer the best value for money. If you're a frag head, I think is the main thing. The average Joe, they're probably quite happy to try some fragrances, but I stand here and I apologise for saying that I didn't kind of fully investigate the value for money aspect of the boxes. I just basically filmed the opening, and as you can see in the video at the time, I didn't realise that these were only 3ml, and then from the opening I then filmed the outro with the comments, so I didn't kind of go on and check all the prices of the fragrances that I received in the box. But what I would say is it does seem to be that you get a sort of newer fragrance and two other cheapies, what we would call in the Fragcom. I saw what fragrances Chris at Fragmental got in his box and what Mark at Your Average Fraghead on Instagram got in his, and they do seem to be, at least two out of the three just seem to be sort of cheaper fragrances. So then when you look at the pound per mil, not necessarily the best value for money. Now, I apologise, it wasn't me attempting to kind of push something that I didn't kind of think was value for money. I just didn't look into it, which I apologise, that's my bad, I should have. I've got a responsibility. With great power becomes great responsibility. I've got no power, but yet somehow I'm responsible for your financial decisions. So sorry about that. Yeah, it wasn't intentional, but just do check it out. As I say, 3ml samples for £6 is not too bad, but then after that, the value for money might be a bit questionable. Anyway, I was pleased though, because I have had this fragrance in there, which I really like. So it's Givenchy's Gentleman Boisee, as I say, and I really like this fragrance. I was really surprised when I first smelt this. It was straight away, I really enjoyed it. So it is, to me, comparable, because iris is a very prominent note in here. I wouldn't say it's like dominating, but it's certainly prominent. It's one of the most prominent, but it's not like super iris heavy. So I like to compare this to Prada L'Homme, which is one of my favorites, and I recently featured that in a video of fragrances that I think are 10 out of 10 fragrances. So I really rate Prada L'Homme very highly, hence why it was in my 10 out of 10 fragrances video. But you know what? I think this might smell better, at least in the opening. I really enjoy this, and actually the wife agrees as well. So before filming this video, I sprayed Prada L'Homme on this arm and Gentleman Boisee on this arm. So I didn't tell the wife what was what, I just said, smell these two, tell me what you think and which one you prefer. She smelled Prada L'Homme first and she said, that smells like bubble bath. And then she smelled Gentleman Boisee second, she went, that smells like nicer bubble bath. And I said, which one do you prefer? And she went, that one, definitely. So she much preferred this. Now that was within 5 minutes of applying, and that is where this actually smells its best. Its opening is really good, so be careful that you don't get lured in just on the opening if you smell this fragrance. So what do I actually get from this fragrance then? I've got a little card here that you get in your secret scent box, but you know, I'm not pushing it, as I say, it's up to you. But they do kind of give you the notes, which makes life nice and easy. So at the top there's black pepper, there's coriander, there's geranium, there's iris in the mids with cacao and cedarwood, and in the base there's sandalwood, burning wood and patchouli. Now, what I really like about this fragrance is it's got a lovely balance of, particularly in the opening, of some freshness with a slight sort of green herbiness, probably from that coriander. I wouldn't necessarily picked it out as coriander if I didn't know what the breakdown, but it definitely does smell kind of, there's a subtle herbiness to it, or herbiness if you're in the America and you don't pronounce the H that's clearly there.
You say herbs and we say herbs because there's a fucking H in it.
Yeah, with a sort of yeah, green sort of herbiness, like this kind of fresh, and then the iris gives it a lovely, is just there, it's prominent, but it's not all encompassing and really heavy. So it's not like the only thing about the fragrance, particularly in the opening, where Prada L'Homme is very, very iris heavy, as well you know. Prada L'Homme I'd say is sweeter. So this is got a fresher opening, I think. Though I love Prada L'Homme and it is fresh, it is very clean, I'd say that this has got a fresher opening than Prada L'Homme. As it then starts to go into the mids, it does lose some of that sort of specialness, that kind of magical opening. And it starts getting progressively a bit more kind of safe and a bit more run-of-the-mill. As it goes into the mids, I still find it really pleasant. It starts getting a little bit woodier. It loses a little bit of the kind of fresh, slight bit of the sort of fresher freshness. And then as it goes into the base, you lose that herb-like greenness and it becomes a bit more woody, and with some sort of sandalwood and the iris. So it's certainly into the dry down, it becomes a little bit more standard, run-of-the-mill-esque, but still smells really good. So I really think this smells really, really good. I really enjoy it. As I say, the opening is better. I enjoy the mids, and then the dry down is probably the worst. So because I guess it deteriorates is what I'm saying. But it's a bloody good fragrance. Performance is probably its biggest challenge. Now, Chris at Fragmental got really bad performance from this. He kind of struggled to smell it within the first kind of hour. I didn't get as bad a performance as that. This on me was worse than average, but it was almost okay. And I don't know if it's because currently this time of year it's a lot warmer weather, so it might be skin chemistry or it might be just the heat that's helping it kind of project a little bit more, but it did kind of last. So I got about 45 minutes to an hour of okay projection, and then about 5 hours later, and then it did start wearing really close, so it's not great performance. And about 5 hours later, I could still smell it as a skin scent, but it was super close. I was having to, you know, properly smell on my skin, but I could smell it 5 hours later. Past that, yeah, it's really a no-go. I think the challenge is, it's, as I say, even though it lasts that time, it doesn't really project. It kind of wears super close. So again, to compare it to Prada L'Homme, I actually get similar sort of longevity out of Prada L'Homme, 5 to 6 hours, but I wouldn't say so much that Prada L'Homme is sort of got a lot better projection. Perhaps it's better sillage, because I just tend to get wafts of Prada L'Homme throughout my wearings, particularly if I smell it on, spray it on clothes. Now, I suspect this would perform better if I had a full bottle, so I could go a bit heavier, spray clothes, but I've only had this 3ml sample, so I couldn't kind of go too heavy. And obviously these sprays aren't full bottle sprays either, so I couldn't apply as much. And I suspect if I could, it probably would have got slightly better performance. But Prada L'Homme, I do get 5 to 6 hours of longevity, but I do get good projection for the first 1 to 2 hours, and then after that it wears fairly close, but I do get kind of wafts. So if I move around, if I've sprayed it on my shirt normally because I wear it as a work scent, I do kind of just get wafts when I'm moving around. Didn't really get it so much with this. I could smell it, but I was having to kind of raise my arm to my nose and smell it, and it was kind of there. So yeah, performance is not good and not as good as Prada L'Homme. So here's the question. Would I buy this? When my bottle of Prada L'Homme runs out, would I buy this? You know what, I would think about it if I could get a decent enough price. Now, I've not really, I should probably compare this to the other flankers in the Gentleman line. I have smelt them in store briefly, I've not done full tests. I prefer the cologne. The EDP, I really was quite impressed with the kind of performance and the sort of the depth of it, but I actually didn't enjoy it too much. It was almost a bit too much, and my wife felt the same. I sprayed it on in store, and then driving home she kept getting whiffs of it, and she wasn't kind of enjoying it too much because it's probably a bit too warm that day or something, I don't know, because it's a bit much. So yeah, to me, the main iris staple in my collection is Prada L'Homme, so that's why I'm kind of comparing it to that. And you know what, I really enjoy this scent, and my wife preferred it to Prada L'Homme as well. It's just the performance is a little bit lacking. Now, just to kind of, if anybody's thinking about it, what I would say is just try and smell it. Obviously, it's a bit difficult in lockdown because we can't get into store, but I would say Prada L'Homme's probably going to be more divisive because the Iris is more dominant and a lot stronger. If somebody doesn't like Iris, it's probably going to divide them a little bit more. But if you do, you're probably going to love it more. So this is, I guess what I'm saying is this is safer. I would say more people are going to give Prada L'Homme high scores, but there's going to be some people that give it low scores as well because they don't like Iris. This, I think, safer. It's probably not going to get very high scores, but it won't get low scores either. I think it'd be lots of 7s and 8s out of 10s for this. I think it's a lot safer option because and also I think it's got more versatility. It's clean, it's fresh, it's got some sophistication, but I wouldn't say it's an old man scent. I think anybody of any age could wear this. Prada L'Homme's probably younger, it's got a bit more sweetness to it, and it's a bit of a younger crowd. This is probably a bit more sophisticated, a bit more mature, but I think a younger guy could wear it. So to summarise, I would say try it, but mainly try the performance on your skin before you order it. But it's definitely worth trying because I think this smells really good. So there you go, that's my impressions of Givenchy's Gentleman Boisee. I actually really like it, and dare I say it, I think it smells better than Prada L'Homme, which I gave a 10 out of 10 fragrance. So in many ways, I think this is a banging smell, and particularly in the opening, I think it does smell better than Prada L'Homme, but the performance you need to check out for yourselves to see how it goes on your skin. But I would buy a bottle of this if I could get it cheap enough. Thank you for watching. Do please comment below, let me know what you think to Gentleman Boisee. Does it smell good to you? How does it perform on your skin, and how do you think it compares to the other flankers in the Gentleman line? I'd be really curious to know. If you did get anything out of this video, you know the score, like, subscribe and all that jazz. Otherwise, I will see you for the next video. Take care, much love.